welcome to NWA Connie Corsos podcast, where we talk all things dogs.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another show. Yes sir. Yes sir. I am your host Joe of NWA Connie Corsos podcast. We have a very special guest, a well-known man in the dog community, brother Erik Lawton. What's up, brother?
What's going on, my friend? How we doing?
My man, I'm doing fine. One day above the ground is always a good day. Yes, sir. You are pretty well known for some epic interviews, and I always watch from a distance. I'm saying somebody needs to interview the interviewer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he has things to say too. So just tell a little bit, the audience a little bit about yourself, your journey with Battle Bred K9s, and how it all came about.
All right. So initially, it was an accident. It just kind of happened. There was I've uploaded my music, my beats, things like that to multiple YouTube channels, SoundCloud, all that stuff. And it was just, the music industry is really overcrowded. So it's hard to just start out as uploading music.
Right.
But one day on one of my beats channels on YouTube, I was walking to a little corner store near my house, and this guy had this really nice dog, great dog with his bloodline, and he just started rattling off. Well, his mom's a blue-nosed bitch, dad's a red-nosed gator mouth, razorback, whatever the fuck, and French. And it was crazy because, being obsessed with dogs for long period of time before this, it drove me nuts a little bit, that people are just so uneducated. It's not their fault, they got a puppy from whoever down the street and he rattled off the same nonsense, so they believe that that's what it is, So I made a video because I'd already known how to do music videos and stuff, so I knew how to do arrangements and things like that. So I did a video on the 4 Pitbull types, if you will. The American Pitbull Terrier, the American Staffordshire Terrier, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and then the American Bully. The OG American Bully, let me clarify, because this new stuff, I'm not going to get it. So I made this video and it shot up to 167,000 views, in just a couple of months.
Wow.
I was just, I'm in the wrong business, And so basically I did another one. Well, no, actually what I did was, like a dumbass, I took that video down from the Beats channel and made a new channel for dogs. I should have just took all the beats down,
Right.
But it's art, you live and you learn. It still got the traction I wanted anyway. I uploaded it to the new channel. It gained traction right away. And then I did the Razor's Edge video, the Gotti line video, the Remy line video, just because I was more into the OG bully stuff. So I wanted to, screw it, tell the stories. And so when I did the Remy line video, Tilo Braun from Ruckus Kennels jumped in the comments and was just like, that isn't the whole story. Blah, blah, blah. You can come talk to me. I got, a lot more details that you're leaving out. So I was like, all right, why don't we do kind of like a radio show thing almost, where, you can phone conversation, I'll record it. I didn't even think to call it a podcast at the time. It was just, I'll just record it and then you send me a bunch of pictures and I'll make a slideshow to go over the interview. And eventually, so that got good traction. All the videos are getting good traction. And then Fabian wanted to say his part on the whole thing. So I interviewed Fabian, And for those of you who don't know, who actually owned RemyMartin, rest in peace. What a great dog. But so it just started to kind of, build and grow from there. It was like music was always like the wife when dogs were the side chick, so to speak. That's my personality, but I kind of swapped them, dogs became first and foremost, and music became more like playing video games. You know, don't get me wrong, video games are cool sometimes, but I'm not much of a gamer. Instead, I'd rather make a beat, you know, or mess with sounds or make balls, whatever. But so yeah, that's how the channel took off, and then eventually it just, I mean, the number, it's like 34,000 subs now, which is not huge distinction, but for me, I mean, it's a blessing. I'm connected with so many great people through this Battle Bred thing, and now it's becoming something even. It's growing in a different direction. Even like the dog content is still going to always be there. I'm always going to be releasing dog content, but that's why I went from Battle Bred K9s to Battle Bred Concepts. Because I do want to start talking a little more about not just working dogs, but you know, survival, martial arts. I got one guy who I interviewed, Paul from Be the Ox, a brand he's trying to develop. That was my first non-dog interview. So he just talked about his testimony in being saved, and talked about his time overseas, you know, when he was in the military and things like that, and law enforcement. So I kind of want to start covering more areas than just dogs, because I've noticed, you know, at first it was a scary thing. It's like, okay, stick to the dog thing. That's what's working. But what I noticed is a lot of these guys that are involved in this dog game are all very, very like-minded. You know, most of them are men of God. Most of them are outdoorsmen. Most of them are into martial arts. You know, and there's some general thing that ties us all together. And like the old thing goes, you know, God doesn't make mistakes. It was really wild to. You know, I'm kind of reclusive, so I don't really mess with too many people locally. You know, good fences make good neighbors. But
that's odd. That's odd. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
but
there's states because of the dog thing that actually became real friends. Like, and I've never met them face to face.
Yeah. It's almost like you don't want to really like people close to you, but you want to pick your people wisely. Who you do.
I mean, the company you keep is the company you become, man. And just in this town, I'm not judging anybody, but it's mostly bars and clubs and partying, and you know, I'm in Myrtle Beach, so
oh my God, yeah,
it's getting fucked up.
yeah. I'm glad I live where I live now.
Country, man. I'm trying to get out of towns. I want to get to the.
That's why I live in the country. I've been my own biggest enemy in my younger days. So
I hear it.
Yeah. So that's cool, brother. It sounds like you finna turn that thing into a more of a network, and that probably even draw more people in, because like you say, a lot of people have similar interests based off one main one lots of times. Yeah.
I mean, the biggest threat to society right now, in my opinion, is the attack on masculinity.
Oh God, it is, bro. It is. It's the number one attack.
Right. So I'm going to be, you know, and I don't judge people for their lifestyle or whatever, but I'm going to stay Christian. I'm going to stay masculine. I'm going to stay straight because that's just the way I am.
And that's okay. Yeah.
So society wants to tear you down for that, you know, and so big shout to Paul from Be the Ox. His thing is solely a safe place for masculine Christianity. Kind of in that same lane, but I'm also trying to expand to other things, you know, just a place where men could be men, you know, in the biblical sense of what a man should be, you know. Too many people try to glorify being a shitty person these days. You know, you're a G if you're not afraid to punch somebody in the face or shoot at people or whatever, which, to defend my family, I'll scorch the earth. But there's a time and a place to be that way. Or you're more of a G if, you know, if you'll cheat on your woman or you got multiple women. No, that's not what the Bible wanted us to do.
Right.
Get one woman, raise your family, protect your family at all costs, provide for them. And, you know, if the more you take the Bible out of society, the more chaotic society is becoming. I know it's kind of going off of a dog, but like just kind of the direction we're going, you know, and
Right.
the Battle Bred family is we're just gonna stay over here. We're just gonna do a thing, you know, and society can crumble around us. We don't care.
Right.
That's how much we can do.
Yeah. But let me ask you this. So being that the dogs kind of got you set you on this journey that you probably never thought you'd be going on. When was your first love for dogs? What dogs did you have when you was younger, and what did they mean to you?
So I grew up in upstate New York in Rochester, and we had some dogs here and there. A couple German shepherds. My dad had a pit bull named Grinder from the time I was really little. That was just his bitch, a true pit bull. And then we lived on this one street that my grandmother's house was on, and then we moved out to the other end, which was even worse. Like when you cross one of the main streets.
Mm-hmm.
So neighbors across the street from my grandmother's house gave us this wild little gay bitch named Sammy, and it was just to protect the house. But I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. That became my dog.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. My mom wanted her to stay on the porch. It was an enclosed porch and whatnot, but my window to my room was right there on the porch. So at night, I would lift up the window, and I was better and sleep on my bed.
Yeah.
And me and my best friend growing up, his name was Fred, and my mother always jokingly called him my black twin because eerily we looked alike and acted alike. And I remember it was like me and him versus all the bullies in the neighborhood, you know, that went my age. So it was me, him, and we had this crazy bitch Sammy on a leash. And just like we dominated, you know, it was just like, yo, you're not gonna try to there's 10, 12 of you and 2 of us. But the dog was the equalizer because they would see Sammy and she was, I mean, a normal size, you know, 40 pounds, you know, 40, 45 pounds. But she was just an absolutely insane little bitch that if people were within 10 feet, she, you know,
Yeah.
and it was like, it gave us a sense of, you know, you're not going to beat us up. We're going to beat you up with the dog. Like, so ever since that day, well, it was heartbreaking. We moved and my mom had to get rid of her. And man, it crushed me to my core. So I always said, you know, we had a couple pit bulls, just family dogs since then, but they weren't my dog, you know. So around the time my daughter was born, I got this dog from my cousin. She was like pit bull terrier and Scott type American bulldog cross. So she was a little bit bigger, nice little brindle bitch named China. And, you know, my daughter had just been born. I got this nice place I'm living in and everything. So I get her, and the ball just started rolling a little too fast. Like I got her, and then my buddy had this dog, Caesar, who got into a fight with another dog. And this try not to curse as much as possible. This stupid lady decided she wanted to try to break them up using her hands, and bites her hand. He would never bite a person. He was just really scary looking, and he was very strong. But he was like in fact, he was a Johnson type American Bulldog cross to a pit bull. And I mean like a game pit bull. So he had this real tenacity about him. Even though he was a larger dog, he would try to kill every other dog he saw. Until I got him anyway. So anyway, animal control was called, and they were going to come get him and put him down. And I told my buddy at the time, I said, dude, just bring him to me. I'll take him. You know, so he brings him. Now I got 2 dogs. Then my aunt had the sister of the first dog I got, and she can't handle her because she's getting too big, so she gives her to me. This is all in an apartment. It's a big apartment,
right?
And actually, but it's an apartment. No fenced yard or nothing. I had no fucking clue what I'm doing. I'd never owned a dog really, except for that one when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about the cleanup, the feeding, and all these other things, I'm just like, man, I got away from the gang culture. This is the gang now. This is awesome. Fuck the world. I just had dogs. And then I ended up, it was China, Caesar, Izzy. Then I bought Murder and Chaos. Murder for myself, Chaos for my best friend at the time. And then, so he had her, but he was always at my house.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I bought another dog named Criminal. These are all newspaper ads that I'm finding, and I'm just like, yeah, $200, $300, $400, whatever. Like, so when he was at the house, when my friend was at the house, it was a total of 6 dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and it was absolute chaos. I had no clue what I was doing, and I like to be very transparent. I don't care who judges me. I was, 19 years old or something like that, and 19, and I had a total of 6 dogs in that. Then we bought a foreclosure, so we fixed it up, and we have a house now. Now it's a mostly fenced yard and all that. That helped, but the only problem there is Caesar's big ass. I'd made the garage into a nice dog room, and Caesar chewed. There was 2 doors, the regular door and the garage door,
Mm-hmm.
and so he chewed through the in between there and let all the dogs out. So I come home one day, animal control's in front of my house. Caesar's up on the porch growling and snarling at the animal control officer. Of course, I get a ticket for $1,500, which fuck off, I didn't pay.
Yeah.
I got out of that. Fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, my neighbors are just like, yeah, but all your dogs were just running up and down the street. I'm just like,
Everybody scared as hell.
behind cars and shit because there's fucking 6 Pitbull type dogs.
Right.
Well, at the time, that was only 4 because Izzy had passed away, and my friend wasn't living with me. He actually ended up renting a room from me later on, but he wasn't living with me at the time. So I had a total of 4 at that time once I had my own house. But yeah, 4 Pitbull type dogs running up and down the street with spike collars on and shit. Everybody's hiding behind cars. And they didn't bother anybody. They were just kind of cruising, running up and down the street. But that was my fault. I should have contained them better. I'll say that. But that was around the time I started looking at all the Pitbull magazines and books and all that stuff that were all those things that were available. So they had the magazines at PetSmart and Petco, Pitbull Terrier, Staffordshire Terrier, all this. So I picked those up, and then I got a hold of, and I won't say how because it was young and dumb. Screw it, who cares? I rented like 10 books from the library on dogs, and I just never brought them back. I forgot all about it. I moved out of state completely, and I'm like, yeah, well, it's like they're never getting those back, So it wasn't intentional, but
yeah,
I don't know.
They gonna find you now.
Okay, good luck.
So let me ask you this, man. So your first off, your interviews, the things you have done, no one will ever be able to catch it. Because one thing in particular is the type of, when you say dog man, when you talk about pit bull dog, you talk about for real dog man. They don't trust easy.
Yeah.
And for you to even get these interviews, brother, you're going down the history for that. So with that being said, what you can mesh it all together. Which ones, give me your top 3 iconic interviews or the ones that meant the most to you for whatever reason. What are those, some of your faves?
Well, my daughter is going to be 16 next week. I just kind of give you that preface. She was 2 years old when I discovered H. Lee Robinson's American Sentinel Canine.
Yep. Mr. Lee Robson. Yep.
To me, I'll compare that to music. So growing up, you know, it was Tupac, Eminem, DMX, etc.
Yep.
For the game, Lee Robinson was on that list for me. Like, man, this dude is just a genius. People could say what they want, you know, Dick Records fanboy, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I give credit where credit is due, and I admire who I admire, you know.
Yeah.
To me, it was, man, this dude is the man. He's an animal scientist, and all these attributes about him. And I was always fascinated with band dogs because I saw the beauty of the creativity. You know what I mean? To be able to say, okay, none of these lanes look quite right to me, so I'm going to make my own lane. It was very inspiring. So later on, when I got older, and I just took a shot at it. I didn't really know the man or anything, you know. And like, would you want to jump on for an interview? I was like, yeah, sure. And that turned into like 8 interviews and a real friendship. I have this philosophy of not collecting friends because, you know, friends are just whatever. But I collect mentors. Yeah, for the people listening, friends are going to tell you what you want to hear. Mentors are going to tell you what you need to hear.
Exactly.
So just write that one down. But he became a great mentor, great brother in Christ as well. He's helped me through a lot. And the funny thing is, he's so far away. I've never met him in person. You know, I always talk to him. I always go to him with my bullshit. He deals with it and tries to help me, you know. So he's a solid cat. He was the one who put me on to Madison Parker and Pat Patrick. So, because he knew them and had dealings with them, you know, exchanging dogs, blah, blah, blah. And so he put me onto them, and it was his work that, you know, got me the right of way in there, because they were basically. And what was funny is the Madison Parker interview turned into 6, 7, you know, and then the Pat Patrick interview, I think I got 4 with Pat Patrick. And
classics.
Yeah, and then Schoolboy, I just found him online, and I, you know, if I bring up the fact that I've already done Pat Patrick and Mad Dog, then Schoolboy might feel cool about, you know, jumping on. But he was easy about it. He didn't care.
Yeah, he's real easy about it. Yeah,
he was just, I don't care. The past was the past. I'll talk about whatever you want to talk. So and he jumped on, and we plan on doing a part 2 at some point. I love all kinds of dogs, but the American Pit Bull Terrier and the American Sentinel, which is heavily game American Pit Bull Terrier, I gotta say it doesn't get much better as far as ability. So I wouldn't own them right now because I don't have the proper land for it. Right. My dogs are a little more. I try to use them for, you know, home protection, personal protection, stuff like that. But dogs that move at that speed, go all the time, I'm going to need some land for that. I'm going to need not even just kennels. I'm going to need chain spaces for that. Yeah. Which I do plan on having eventually. Right. Some Sentinels. I plan on having some game dogs, even if I only use the game dogs to influence whatever I decide to breed.
Right.
But yeah. Another one, Carl Burton, Dragon Dog Kennels, the working pit bulldog thing, you know. I really love that. In fact, in my registry, the BBF, I decided to make a split between the American Pit Bull Terrier, that is more of a terrier phenotype, versus the American Pit Bulldog, which is more, you know, not bully, you know, not out to here, not dying, you know, in 80 degrees. I'm talking a working dog still. I mean, you remember late 90s, early 2000s when you saw something they called a pit bull, but it's got a giant head, a big chest, and it looks it can wreck a freight train. I mean, that I still have love for, but I think there's too many names for it. So that's why I did what I did. I said, okay, we're going to keep the game dog, the American Pit Bull Terrier, over here. And we're going to keep the American Pit Bulldog, you know, UKC Pit Bull, Working Bully, all those things over here.
You defined it. Yeah.
I just wanted to keep it 2 names because when I try to explain, when I try to educate people on what pit bull is, their brain is fried. They're just American Staffordshire Terrier, the AKC version of it. Then you got Staffy Bull. It's too much of a mess. When in fact, the working pit bulldog, the thicker AKC Amstaff, the thicker UKC pit bull,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the wakeful lines, the working pit bulldog lines, those are all crossed in regularly. People breed them together all the time. Whereas the purists keep the American Pit Bull Terrier, the American Pit Bull Terrier. So I took all those dogs over here and just said, no, American Pit Bulldog. And if there's American Bulldog tossed in there, I consider it the same thing because that's how they're crossed anyway. As long as it works. But kind of went on a rant there. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
It's one of those things that it was another one of those things that, how I was talking about Battle Bred concepts expanding, and I was a little worried about how people would perceive it, whether they'd be pissed or not. And I did it, and it worked. That was another thing, the American Pit Bulldog. I'm like, are people going to be pissed off about this? If they are, I don't care. I'm doing it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it got a great response. People are like, that's a damn good idea.
Oh,
that
good.
will clean up all the mess.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Pit Bull, yeah, but one of them's more of a Bulldog, one of them's more of a Terrier.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the question you asked me.
I was just asking. Well, man, you went off. You just went off. Yeah, you actually did go off because we started with the some of your most epic interviews. Yeah, but I just kind of like went. I'm like, just kind of went along. You know what I mean?
I kind of go. On a bender there. Yeah, the Carl Burton working pit bulldog thing. I love those interviews. I was in the middle of moving, man. He wanted to put this mail in my hands, and I'm so mad that it was the wrong timing. Another one, Devil's Den.
Devil's Den.
He's got bullies and pit bulls. His bullies are cool, I don't got nothing against bullies. In fact, his bullies are really nice, but I like his pit bulls specifically because he has separate programs. Mike Gallo at Devil's Den. He's got just great looking pit bulls, those dark red chocolate. Oh man, there's just something about them,
I got it. Okay, I'm gonna look him up for sure. Okay.
Devil's Den bulls.
Okay.
Then he's got Devil's Den bullies, and he's got on TikTok. I saw Devil's Den reptiles now too, which
really? Okay.
Yeah, that's cool because I'm into reptiles myself, so it's cool to see another dog guy that's also into it,
Right. So you, man, you in a really tough genre, and me and you both know how political these dogs can get. How do you kind of like? Because I mean, every time I drop a show, email. Well, he don't know what he phone call. How do you deal with that type stuff? This for me.
You know what? That rapper Tom McDonald? Tom McDonald's very political rapper.
Okay.
Good artist, but that's not why I'm saying it. I saw a short clip of a podcast where he said something, and it really sunk in for me. And it was in the hip hop game. You're not accepted. This, that, and the third. Blah 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 blah. Maybe you're white. You're a guest in hip hop. He was like, no, you don't have to let me in your house. I built mine across the street.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this over here. I just love the way he answered that because it's like I won't even use UKC papers anymore.
Right.
For that, man.
Right.
I don't have a need for that. I built my own house over here. My dogs. People ask, well, who you registered with? Myself.
Mm-hmm.
Myself. I have my papers are framed, sealed, and printed on the wall in front of me. And I register dogs for people who have the same mindset.
Let's get into that. So you have a registry. What's the name of the registry?
The Battle Bred family.
Okay, so let's get into the registry and the purpose and what made you what made you come up with the registry?
Well, initially, I only started doing the papers for my program, the Lock Bulldog, the band dog that I was working with.
Got you.
So I said, I'm not with the kennel clubs. I don't like kennel clubs. I don't like, and it's not that the kennel clubs don't have good intentions. Let me specify. It's just people plus kennel clubs plus popularity ruin breeds. That's just the fact of the matter. For me, I said, if I produce a dog and you trust me as a person, you're going to get my paperwork with that because you trust me as a person. It's so eventually, the first two were Martin at Corsos and Bulldogs, and then Bruce and Katrina Huffmaster at Think About It Farm American Bulldogs. We're both like, well, we would want to register. And I'm like, really? Okay. So I came up with a decent price that I thought, wouldn't money gouge people. Just, you're basically just paying for my time and the supplies to get this all done. And I was like, I started to expand on it. I was like, well, wait a second. Kennel clubs are shit. And I've developed so much rapport in the dog community that people trust me.
Mm-hmm.
I might have, not to sound like this is coming from a place of ego or anything like that. It's, I have the power to make a change in the dog game. It would be a sin for me not to use that. So I was like, what if I decide to get with the right people and put the word community back into dog community? Instead of high school cliques that bash each other, sticking to a specific structure or script or whatever. No, being a dog man is about time spent, being creative, taking losses. Like, there's more to it than just, oh, you're right or you're wrong. At the end of the day, whoever is feeding the dog has the right to do whatever he wants with the dog.
That's true.
Breed my band dog to a poodle if I feel like it. I wouldn't do that. But if I want to, I'm going to. The third person that jumped on board was Steve Moore at Black Powder Gamekeepers. What he did, after his first interview with me, where he was just talking about his Patterdales, he also had a couple Pitbulls. So I can't remember whether I put the bug in his ear or he brought it up, and I, told him what I thought. But I've always wanted to see a Patterdale Pitbull test. Just something a little bit big Patterdale, a little bit smaller than a Pitbull. Always wanted to see it.
Yeah.
I can't remember whether I brought it up or he brought it up, but when I told him I would 100% back him and legitimize it and make it a breed under my registry, him and his brother down there did a backflip. Like, fuck yeah, fuck it, let's do it. They did the first breeding, boom, and they called it the Black Powder Terrier. And I was like, damn, that sounds bad. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds cool. So I legitimized the breed and registered it under my camp. Now we're up to like 10 or 12 camps registered with us so far.
Oh, nice. So let me ask you this. What is the criteria to be in the registry?
Well, and fur moms, don't jump out of your skin. But to bite. If the dog doesn't bite confidently, it shouldn't be registered. Now, bite, I mean, protect its property, or protect people, or protect a business, or hog hunting, or even vermin control.
So if he has the ability to work, he can make the registry.
Yeah. And if he doesn't have a pedigree, but he's an exceptional animal, I'll give him his stump.
Ooh. So a lot of people gonna like that. Yeah.
Don't make the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So if you if we're talking about game dogs, how many grand champions were there in history that came from nobody dogs? A lot. I've seen dogs back home in the hood that were just backyard bred. I mean, just shit dogs. The mom looked like it was mixed with something off the wall, whatever. But that wasn't. But the dog that came from it was an absolute killer, absolute menace. So that tells me pedigrees are important, sure. But the starting of it, the pedigree isn't that important. I'm looking at the dog that's in front of me. Is this dog an absolute killer? I don't care if it's just killing rats. If it's a Patterdale Terrier, for example, and it's a good ratting dog, that dog to me is battle bred.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the criteria. And then there's other perks involved. For one, I always have backup. I always have backups of everything. And I always share people's content. That gives me, it's a win-win. I'm getting their dogs in front of more eyes, and I'm getting to put out more content.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win-win. That's an even exchange.
Exactly.
Not that, I keep backup drives of all the content every member sends me. Your phone fell on the toilet, you lost all your pictures and videos of your dogs? Don't worry, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the perks.
Whoa. That's major.
Yeah.
That's major there.
That's what I mean by community. I want to help these people as much as I humanly can. And in return, and like on the Facebook group, I made a Facebook group for the registered members and supporters, whoever just wants to jump on the group and talk about dogs. But how cool would it be as a member to have all these phone numbers at your disposal? And you hit everybody up. My dog has this weird rash. Send me a picture. What does it look like? Okay, do this. Somebody's went through it before. So it's like, you could be the greatest dog man in the world. But the minute you say you're no longer a student, that's the minute you're going to start failing.
Right.
We're students every day, all the time. So how cool is it to have a list of, I think it's like 12 people now. Mm-hmm. So a list of people that you can call them when you have certain issues. It's really all about putting the community back into it, keeping archives that are important. I'm a nerd like that. If you, like, for example, send me all your pictures of your Corsos just because I want to have them. I want to look through. I'll spend hours looking through dogs.
Right.
Hours.
Right.
In fact, my ex a long time ago, she said, "Man, I'm the luckiest woman in the world." I was like, "Why is that?" She was like, "Because a lot of men are up at 3:30 in the morning looking at something they shouldn't be. You're looking at fucking dogs and pedigrees and all that shit."
Yeah. I know several men like that. I know men who talk about dogs every day.
All day.
Every day. All day.
If I'm not talking about dogs, I'm talking about God, music, martial arts, or survival.
Right.
I have a one-track mind, but it's on a few different things.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So let me ask you this. I'm going to go back to something. You're working on your own particular band dog, and was the inspiration for that Lee Robinson dogs? What are Lee? I don't know anybody with Lee's dog. What are they like, and what is your goal for your dogs?
Well, Lee's dogs are, they've been crowned by the many, many customers across the world who have them as the only true proven game band dog. Which a lot of people want to dispute it, but I don't know. Based on what I've seen, I gotta agree.
Right.
But with that said, I'm spoiled. I want a specific look. So at some point, I'm going to be either getting a dog from Lee or using something on his yard to stud to what I'm doing. But I want the bullier head. I want the big chest. I want the more imposing looking dog, because that's just what I like. A lot of people say, "Oh, performance." I'm like, yeah, that's cool, and I want that. But I'm not very good at being told I can't do something. Actually, my mother's most famous quote is, when somebody tells me I can't do something, it's watch me. "Oh, you can't just start your own registry." Looks like I did it. Watch me. Like, I don't believe in can. So when people try to knock the idea and say, "Oh, it should be performance all the time only," I'm like, no, I disagree. I want a good looking dog too. In fact, that's going back to when I first saw what today would be considered between a classic and XL or OG bully,
Mm-hmm.
Juan Gotti, for example, or RemyMartin. I've always said if RemyMartin himself was just in size, not any wider, exactly measured to where he is width-wise, but just a few inches taller, he would have been a perfect dog for me. Pop to fucking bop.
Mm-hmm.
As far as look.
Right.
It comes to what the dog does, man, it gets no better than the second.
Mm-hmm.
So my idea was, okay, if I was to put together a band dog, one, it's for survival. Can this dog, if I got to grab my backpack and my rifle and run into the woods, can this dog make it and help me survive? Watch my camp, willingly engage in battle with man, beast, whatever. So, I live in South Carolina, so that put in a few factors. One, the heat down here is pretty brutal. So I was like, whatever mastiff blood I use has to have heat tolerance. So that's why I chose the South African border. And this was a 10-year thought process before I actually executed. So then I knew I didn't want a straight game dog right away to throw into the mix, because I wanted to have some edge, kind of an edge to the dog, but I wanted to get the look kind of concentrated a bit first, and then breed the look. Once I have the look I want, then I find the performance I want. Then I put them together and line breed from there. So Leroy at Blueprint Kennels blessed me with, first before that, Roman at Integrity Boardwood Kennels blessed me with a dog, a puppy out of the litter, Yoshi.
Mm-hmm.
She was his look was just absolutely insane. He looked more like a bulldog than a boardwalk, just a very large bulldog,
Mm-hmm.
And the way he stood, people want to stack their dog or whatever. Right. He would rest in that position comfortably while I'm sitting there talking with somebody for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And his legs ain't shaking up, and his frame was just sturdy, well built, looked glorious. So the next step was, okay, I don't want to go straight to a game dog yet. That has to be another step somewhere else. So I was like, I'd like either OG bully, working pit bulldog, maybe an Amstaff, because I don't want to lose the blocky head. I don't want to lose the chest. I don't want to lose the frame. I want good bone, So the Leroy Blueprint Kennels have this female that he said was just a touch too hot for what he was doing, because he's more into, he wants them to be working dogs, but very family oriented, very level headed, Me, on the other hand, I wanted a hot. So he brings me this blue female at about a year and a half old, something like that, and he hands me the leash. As soon as he hands me the leash and she realized that she's mine, we're back behind this plaza, which was back behind my old house.
Mm-hmm.
There's people coming out of the back doors, throwing trash out, all the stuff. People are working, And every time the door opens, she's trying to pull on the leash and shit. I'm like, okay, yeah, she's mine. I love her.
Yes,
and I thought about it, like, is this going to work? I stack them next to each other. Are they going to complement each other? And I just caved in. I was like, fuck it, let it happen, And what happened was I was actually going to wait till the next heat to breed her. But he jumped on her that first heat within like a month of me having her, not even. So I got her, and like almost right away she was bred.
Yeah.
The litter was rough. The puppies were really, really large. We lost a lot of them. It was my mistake. I'll say that, because I've had litters before, but they weren't such a size difference,
Mm-hmm.
And I called my counsel, my mentors, and they're walking me through everything, but there was just a lot of them that came out stillborn. So the 4 that survived, I gave one to my neighbor, and then the one I gave to my neighbor actually turned out dead. There was something just off about her when she was young. She was really tiny, and the vet said something along the lines of, well, it's not hereditary, it's just she didn't develop in certain ways because she was such a weak pup.
Mm-hmm.
She's a good dog. She's as big as Reaper now, but she just can't hear shit.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Reaper, who I kept. Everybody wondered why I kept the smaller male, and there's a reason for that as well. But then there's his bigger brother, Bear, who I sold to a good friend of mine down the road. And then Cyanide, the other female, who I sold to Darius Slaughter in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And she's just doing great. Reaper's doing great. I chose the smaller male because he had more of the, I guess, the springiness of a pit bull, you know, or looked very mastiff, whereas his brother Bear looked more mastiff for sure. But I mean, Reaper bounces around. I mean, he jumps around like he's 50 pounds, and he's already probably 90 something at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a year old. The litter is a year old, May 20th.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, basically, bottom line is it was supposed to be a dog fit for survival. A dog. I also wanted to dial down the size a bit. Because if a 100-pound dog jumps over a 6-foot fence, he might bust a shoulder. You know, there'd be a point in time where, you know, and I think like this all the time, doomsday. You know, I always think like this. People used to call me crazy until recently. Now it's starting to make sense, right?
Yeah.
If I can throw my bag over a 6-foot fence and then throw my dog over a 6-foot fence, I can't risk that dog busting a shoulder. So the next step for me is more than likely breeding him back to his mother. So 75%, you know, pit bull dog.
Yeah.
25 the boar bull. And I'm going to see where that size ends up. If a prototype out of that prototype male ends up a good 80 pounds, if it has that much of an effect on the size, I mean, you know, if I get a good one at 80 pounds, that would be kind of the Goldilocks zone for me. 80 pounds, good bone, good structure, to jump down from high places without hurting himself. And then I start focusing on, you know, drive. It could probably end up being bred to, well, actually, the one option is keeping a female from the son to mother breeding, and then taking that female to just a few different studs to see what works. So I'd probably take it to a Sentinel stud. I'd probably take it to maybe one of Carl Burton's dogs. There's a few options out there, but that's how I'm going to bring up the fight drive, I suppose.
Right.
They do all right now, but they don't have quite enough edge for me. I want a little more, but I'm glad it's happening in this time frame because I don't have my land yet. By the time I have the land, then at that point, the offspring in front of me will be wild.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be a journey, brother. It's like you know what you're gonna be doing. So I got you for a few more minutes. Let me ask you this because I know you got to go.
Before you say that, I have more time. What the interview I had at 5 actually canceled.
Okay. Well. Okay. Got you. Okay. Let's do it then. So, like I said, man, there's just some the breeders in the game dog community. They something else, man. It just up here is some hidden gems you can't get unless you talk to them.
Yeah.
I want you to give me a couple, no dirty secrets, just some knowledge-based things that most people want to know that they gave you. Give me a couple things like, man, you need to know this because it's not common knowledge.
Okay. Well, talking to Patrick and Mad Dog, they both kind of had the same attitude, you know. Record all of it. I'll tell you everything. Just cut it. Make an edited version. Once I pass, you know, then I don't care who knows.
Oh, wow. Shit.
So yeah, there's some interviews I've yet to release.
I know it.
That are locked away. People will never be able to get to them. So
TMI in it.
Forget about that. Please. Anyway, no. I respect police. I love police. I like good cops. There's nothing worse than a bad cop.
Right.
Anyway, so I mean, man, there was a bunch. trying to think off the top of my head.
Anything about breed knowledge, yard knowledge they might need to know?
Well, I guess I can't really rattle off what they said because I don't remember word for word. But one thing I will stress based on what I've learned from them is kennel blanks.
Mhm.
Everybody desperately wants their dog to be the shit. And when you get a hold of a pup and you think you and that puppy are just going to take over the dog game, it's really difficult to tell yourself the truth and say, well, that dog is trash. I actually let my ex keep the Warble, for example, because she softened him up too much. He can't work. He's just a soft teddy bear.
Yeah.
Now, it's promising, but I'm not a pet owner. I'm a dog man. And I say dog man loosely because I'm still so much of a student.
Yeah.
I say man is more of an obsession than an actual occupation.
We call it apprentices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kennel blindness, I notice, is a real problem. People want their dog to be the best so badly because it wasn't only an initial financial investment, but it was also an investment of time and hours put in with the dog. And they're very much afraid that that dog's not going to be the shit. So a lot of times, where they go wrong is they'll lie about it. Well, my dog is this, my dog is that, and oh, he's proven. I hear a lot of people say they're proven, when what they mean is he comes from proven parents. And then you still got to go back and look to find out if those parents are really proven. So, I mean, that's why I said in the BBF, it's going to be, let me see the dog in action. Send me videos. Send me videos of the dog doing bite work or hitting a hog or doing something. I got to see the dog in action. You're not just going to post up Photoshop images and I'm going to believe everything you say based on the look of the dog.
Mhm.
Or that you spent extra money on spike collars and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Love spike collars. In fact, my thing is, if I decide I'm keeping a dog, that's his rite of passage because I got him a spike collar. Another thing, before putting my brain in, I forgot. Give me a second. Another thing I wanted to, and this is after interviewing all these people. I've said this before, but I really wanted to reiterate. The dog game is not the place to get rich. The people that are making real money in the dog game either A, have really unhealthy show dogs that are just popular right now, or B, have spent the time to get their name where it is in order to make it a business.
That's it.
I've heard people say time and time again that they didn't see any profit until the third, fourth, fifth, sixth generation of breeding. Any profit, everything just went back to dog food, back to vet visits, back to all that.
Reinvesting. Yep.
It's a labor of love. This is not, I'm going to get rich. And not only that, to be an actual breeder, I won't say I'm a breeder. I'll have a litter here and there for myself, but I'm not a breeder. When I look at guys like Lee or Mike at Devil's Den or Carl Burton or Bruce and Katrina Huffmaster or Mad Dog, I look at these people that are actually breeders and they all have 10, 20, 30 dogs. This is an actual around-the-clock process, this job. Vacations, it's not happening. Unless you got somebody you can trust, that your dogs trust, to look after your dog. Going even staying overnight somewhere, it's not happening.
Mhm.
Unless you got a whole kennel system set up where you can lock everything up and you can even feel at peace just overnight, maybe. But to take a weekend trip with your wife, that ain't happening.
Yeah, they gonna happen. Yeah. You got to have cameras.
Yeah,
And, you might get out of there for a day if you got the right systems in place. But if like the dogs I run Central Asian Shepherds and Corsos. And a lot of people don't know about those Central Asian Shepherds, but they are very aggressive dogs. They do not like strangers, period. You know, but they getting popular, but those dogs ain't no joke. So
We're
it's
gonna have
hard.
to with you on my channel at some point.
Say it again.
We're gonna have to interview you on my channel on some point.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Most definitely.
I want to know more about that, the Central Asian Shepherd.
Yeah.
And I want to know more about your Corsos too.
Right.
But yeah, that's the main thing I see as being problematic. And the other one, I know we touched on this before, but the audio was messed up last time. I've said this 100 times recently, but I just want to say it again because of the lifestyle ban in the UK and all the things surrounding that. I don't care if the dog is a Frenchie. Don't leave it unsupervised with your children. It is an animal, dude. I don't know about you, but if somebody grabs a hold of my nuts, I'm punching them in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So imagine the dog who doesn't know how to differentiate, in most cases, sizes of people. All they know is their nuts got hurt. You know, it's not the dog's fault. It's the parent's fault.
It is. Yeah.
Don't let your kids put their hand in the dog's food.
No.
Like, let the dog know that the kid comes first. Yeah, but you still got to respect the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Animal. Now, your hands, the owner, I mix my dog's food up with raw eggs every day, sit it down in front of them, make them wait so they can eat it, Mm-hmm. But that's me. I'm the boss.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter, when she was little, even when she was really little, I wouldn't let her go near the dogs while they ate. Just common fucking sense.
Right.
Because you always hear on the news the same story. Oh, we just never thought he would do something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. These
So
people.
If you want, it's one thing if you got, say, a mature 10-year-old who knows the rule, a good kid, who just wants to throw the ball in the yard for the dog. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Unsupervised even. Nothing wrong with that. As long as you could check in here and there, the dog is a well-behaved dog. The kid knows the rules. Unfortunately, there's a lot of shitty kids who have had bad parenting. So they want to experiment and see what would happen if they hit the dog with a stick they found in the ground and things like that. And then they wonder why, they get mauled, sometimes to death, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And to me, the bottom line there is parenting.
Yeah.
If you're a bad parent, you probably shouldn't own a dog anyway.
Yeah, I know. Even with the dog man that's in this channel, my dog wouldn't do it, but me, I'm really safety first, safe and sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I can't see my child, I'll be in my bedroom with the window open. At least I can hear what's going on. But I'm not going to let them run out there with 120-pound dogs. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But
especially like Corsos, Pressos, Central Asian Shepherds. Those dogs are meant to do aggressive work.
Mm-hmm.
So they're hardwired to react to certain things.
Mm-hmm. Oh God! And don't let them get temperamental doing a heat. Oh my God! It's crazy. Let me ask you something.
The best way to put it is be proactive instead of having to be reactive.
Yeah, true. Facts. Facts. Let me ask you this, Erik. This is about pedigree. I want to see what you think about this. What's the most important thing? The pedigree or the breeder you get the dog from?
The breeder, 110%.
Okay.
I'll elaborate on that. I know a couple guys, and I don't know if they want to be mentioned, so I'm not gonna say their name.
Okay.
I've known a couple of guys who are typically what people would call backyard breeder, but some people apply that term negatively, and I'm just being a nigga. If somebody has a big backyard and they want to breed some dogs for themselves, why not? They're paying for the dog food, leave me fucking alone. But with that said, And much rather the breeder, because I know guys who have dogs with no papers that are 3-4 generations deep, so they have their own pedigree on what they have, but they came from nobody dogs. But this guy knows what he has in front of him. He knows what he's selling you, and he's being honest about it. If I buy a dog from, say he's a good guy, but he purchased 2 ADVA registered American Pit Bull Terriers, for example, right? And he breeds the 2 together. Those 2 are great dogs, and the litter is great, and I choose a puppy from that. When he gives me the pedigree, I'm going to use it to keep records and make my own papers for, my own registry, but I'm not going to focus so much on that pedigree, because the people he got the 2 parents from might have hung those papers. So the guy I'm getting it from is honest. They could have DNA done on the dogs, but for all I know, they could have swabbed a different dog instead of the dog that's actually written on the paper.
True.
A lot of ways to falsify. That's the reason why, for the registry, it's like, if you seem to be on the up and up, and somebody says this is a good guy and brings you in, cool, but we're going to trust you till we don't. That's why I call it family, not fun, because you got to know somebody. Somebody has to bring you in and say, "Oh, he's a solid guy." Before I'm going to say, "All right, I'm going to register his dogs." But the pedigree, I put such little value on it unless I know that every dog, or mostly every dog on that pedigree, was on that person's yard. That was like for the start of the Lawton Bulldog. It was, this is a Lawton Bulldog because you're getting it from Erik Lawton. That's it. Now, if you buy 2 Lawton Bulldogs from me, and I witness you make the breeding, and I approved of it, and I like it, then great, do it. Call it a Lawton Bulldog. But if you just got 2 pups from me of separate litters, and you go ahead and breed them, and I don't know what's going on, just call it Fan Dog if I end up with it. Because I'm not going to put my name on it. Or if you take a Lawton Bulldog and cross it to an American Bulldog, cool. Just don't call it a Lawton Bulldog. Don't put my name on it because I didn't do it. And that leads to another point. My plan when I have the property I want is to have dogs of different sizes. So I was going to do the Lawton Bulldog, the Lawton Mastiff, and the Lawton Terrier. I decided against the Lawton Terrier because Steve at Black Powder Gamekeepers, this Black Powder Terrier thing, I stand behind it. I trust its vision, and I'd rather just support him. So I'm not going to be a Lawton Terrier. I'm just going to get some dogs from him and stand behind the Black Powder Terrier because it's pretty fucking cool. But I still might, when I get property, have a different line of dogs that I keep closer to the house. Giant dogs, like it might be a Lawton Mastiff. But my thing is, if my name's on it, I want it to be, then if my name's on it, then I'm accountable for it. But if my name isn't on everything in that pedigree, don't elevate the gift above the giver. So if you get a dog from me and you're happy with it, great, 100%. But it's my hope that because you got the dog from me, my name is what you'll use next time you think about getting a dog, or somebody wants to get a dog. You'll use my name. Trying to get scatterbrained here and trying to explain it. But for example, there's 3 people I still keep in contact with regularly who have gotten dogs from me who state to this day they would never purchase a dog from anybody else. Which, that's not an ego thing. It's very flattering, but I'm humble. But there's 3 so far who have gotten dogs from me and say they'll never get a dog from anybody else. That to me is more important than making money. So I guess I went on another tangent there, but as far as pedigree is concerned, don't place too much value on the pedigree, the paper in front of you. Place your value on the breeder you're working with and the dog you got from the breeder. And another thing, a dog is a 12 to 15-year commitment if it's a healthy dog.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get involved if you don't plan on spending that time with the dog.
Yeah.
And also, there was another point I wanted to make. Also, a breeder you get a dog from should be there to support you through the long haul. You should always be able to call your breeder and say, man, something's going wrong with this or something's going wrong with that. And a true breeder is also a trainer. Is also, might not be a vet, but knows how to supplement a dog, knows how to, oh, my dog's having, the dog I got from you is having skin issues. Oh, I know the remedy for that. Just go pick up some of this, new stuff, whatever, apply it to the dog every 3 days, it'll go away. You know, that breeder should always be all hands on deck. It's customer service, but I mean, it is customer service, good customer service, but it's also, I think, required if you're going to call yourself a dog man or a breeder.
That's true. That's true. Boy, you dropped some gold nuggets then. Whoa. There was some gold nuggets because for the what we will call apprentice breeders that watch this show, you got to get some dog training under your belt because they're going to call you back about different things. And if you don't know the question, just say, hey, I'm busy. I'll get back with you. Go ask your buddy. You know what I mean? Because we don't know the answer to everything when you coming up. Say, I just get back with you. Or send them to somebody where they can get the answer. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was some gold nuggets.
Another thing that I could say as far as breeding is concerned, I firmly believe, based on conversations I've had with dog men, certain dog men, you know, a lot of people will let puppies go at 6 to 8 weeks. When in fact, if you hold them until 10, 12 weeks and let the mother do a lot of the behavior modification, or I guess you could call it behavior modification, nipping at the puppies, even though it might sound aggressive, it might sound like she's going to kill them. She's not going to kill her. If they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and the mom, you know, nips at them, snarls at them, she's instilling certain behavioral traits that humans cannot teach. You see, so in my opinion, especially going back to my plan to get property, in my opinion, one, I'm not going to have a litter and let them keep the whole thing. I'd rather breed dogs to sell dogs, but I'll sell you a dog. I think it's the right thing, and you know, and I think you can take care of it right and the whole nine. You know, I'll sell a dog, but when I have a litter, it's going to be, when I have another litter anyway, it's going to be because I couldn't afford the time and the money to keep the whole litter for myself.
Right.
If you sell a dog, it's not going to be till after it's 3 months old. Because I think I would have better customer satisfaction with a dog that's already been partially trained by the mother and me. You know, the dog at 3 months old already has the capacity to learn not to use the restroom in the crate, not to use the restroom in the house. Loud noises don't mean something is scary. You know, like you could desensitize a dog to a lot of these things with the help of the mother to the time the pup is, you know, 12 weeks old. So why more breeders don't do that. I get that the food is expensive and all that, you know, 100%. But look at your customer satisfaction with selling a puppy. If you keep it just a little bit longer, just a month longer, it will do wonders. So yeah, so for the listeners, definitely a lot there. But so point A, don't have a litter unless you can afford to keep it. And point B, if you do sell the litter, keep it till 12 weeks of age. Put some work on the litter. Don't just sell the puppy. Here you go. What's your problem now? You know, make sure you're selling a good product. If I sell you a car and the car breaks down or a tire falls off or whatever, you're going to be pretty upset with me. So it's like the same thing applies to dogs. You know, I want the customer to be happy from day one. Again, I got the puppy that's 3 months old. He doesn't use the bathroom in the house. He sits on command, he lays down, follows me around, does what he's supposed to do. You can achieve that at 3 months old with the help of the fucking mother.
Right. And another thing too is I know it ain't all about the money, but when you get a puppy up that far, it is about the money because people will pay more for. Oh, you already done that?
Yeah,
you don't put more in the dog. Yeah, so it's time is money. So the pup will go for more money.
And let me say up front, I did say making money in the dog game is hard. And I'll get to another point after this. Making money in the dog game is hard. But it is somewhat about money. At some point, once you put in the 5, 10 years, sometimes more, once you put the time in, it can be lucrative. And there's nothing wrong.
No.
The other point I wanted to make is there is, especially today, far more you can do to make money with your dogs than breeding. You can train dogs and post content on your dogs. I mean, look what Marlin did with the hump. Now he's one of the most famous dogs in the world, even though he ain't technically a Pitbull. But one of the most famous dogs in the whole world. Why? Because it used to be cash is king. Now content is king.
Content.
And I'm still getting paid from videos I released 3 years ago. So I definitely at some point want to get more into the vlogging avenue of what I'm doing with the dogs. That can be very lucrative. I've said it time and time again. Make your dog a star. If dog, we'll call him Buck, right? And you got a TikTok, and Instagram, and YouTube, and you just start constantly posting content on Buck, how amazing he is, and climb a tree, go scale a wall, and get up onto the roof, and then jump down into my arms, and he'll do all this. People are going to be amazed. Now, everyone knows who Buck is. Then you got another dog that you just got. Her name is Bella. You're training Bella to do all the same things. Now you got 2 of them. Those 2 breed together, boom, now you can sell $10,000 puppies. See what I mean?
Right, exactly, yeah.
And I got nothing against what Marlon's doing. I think I wouldn't call it a pit bull myself. I call it an XL bully, but that's just me. But he takes care of his dogs and training his dogs. He's always active with his dogs. So everybody that talks shit about it, it's like, leave him alone. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. But what he did was make content his first priority. And see why more people don't do that before they start pumping out links.
Yeah, because with content nowadays, it's a direct to consumer concept. You don't have to go through no hoops. You ain't got to go through a dog show and hope they approve you and click up with all these people. You can go straight to the people with social media. So that's a very good point. I want to ask you, this is my last question because I just heard my kids come there. So this is the number one controversial topic on my show, and it's show versus working. And I'm gonna tell you why. I got some people that believe a working dog and a show dog are 2 different things. One is bred to be to do its thing, to perform and in a one capacity, and another group thinks so in another capacity. Then I have a very few people that think they should be able to do both because show is working. The nerves of the dog, the scent he's supposed to be able to. They say it's work. What are your thoughts on this?
I think there is a place for show dogs, and I say that because that's what makes some people happy. This is America, and I'm happy if you're happy doing what you want to do. With that said, I don't like, for example, what the show ring did to the German Shepherd, as an example. Banana back, terrible head, German Shepherd. I love German Shepherds. I love the working line German Shepherd. It's just, I don't see why we can't have both. Why can't we have a dog with good structure, who looks the way it's supposed to look, bred the way it's supposed to bred, and bred to do its job? I think I'll start by saying what I said earlier. You feed your dogs. It's up to you what you want to do with your dogs. And I don't bash people for what they want to do. The biggest problem I had in the dog game for a long time is when the bullies started taking turns that I didn't. When they were getting too extreme, they can't help anymore. And then they bring in the Merle thing. Now, you know what? Let me close my mouth. If that's what you like, cool. I think there's a line, though. If you want a healthy Merle bully, great. I commend you. Do your thing. Do your bully barbecues. I think that's cool as hell. The bully barbecue thing, the fun shows, all that. I want to do it to BBF at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we'll have to keep our dogs pretty far away from each other.
Right.
But I remember the old ABKC shows back when Dogumentary was Bully Badass TV, and it was then. Some people say, like, I'm a West Coast guy that just happened to be born in the East Coast, because I love lowriders. I love kittens. You know what I mean? I love big, mean-ass dogs, And then, what I like is over on the West Coast, and I've still never been there. But it was awesome to see, it was a car show and a dog show at the same time. They got their low riders, and they're stacking with their dogs in front of them. Or their motorcycle, and they're stacking with a dog in front of it. I was like, that is the shit. I have to go. And then all of a sudden, the dogs lost their edge, they lost their aggression, they lost their height, they lost so much. And it was disappointing. So again, if you're into healthy bullies, all that, cool. If you're happy on it.
Mm-hmm.
For me and mine, I want, in the BBF, I want looks and I want performance. I want the dog that looks the way it's supposed to look. If it is American Pit Bull, for example, I want to see that blocky head, that big chest. And yes, I want a level top line. Yes, I want a good structure, a good stack. But I want that dog to be able to rip through a freight train if you tell him to.
Mm-hmm.
Dog to me, growing up, being, the neighborhood I grew up in, and, going through my stupid teenage years and early 20s when I was involved in gangs and shit.
Yeah.
Stay away from gangs, kids. Stay in school.
Yeah. And just say no to Diddy, say no to everything. You know what I mean? You got to tell Diddy no.
Yeah. Actually didn't do it. Didn't do that. But no, it's so growing up in that environment, you didn't have a mean dog because you wanted one. You had one because you had to.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't want your big screen TV and your PlayStation 1 to get stolen. So you didn't have a mean dog. Especially because, I'll just say it's difficult to have freedom distribution devices. So you have to have a mean dog.
Mm-hmm.
And now the way things are going today, biblical prophecy, how insane the world is going right now, what's good called evil and what's evil is being called good. I mean, the whole thing is unfolding right in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
It tells me that one of the best assets I can have for myself and my family is a good working dog. That will shit on somebody. That's the bottom line. So, yeah. So I'm still, to answer your question, I think of what my mind's eye sees in the BBF. If we have a show, we have an event, looks are going to matter. This is the best looking dog, but this dog has a harder bite. All that's going to matter. And there will be a complete package title of some sort that goes to the dog that is all around you. Looks the best, acts the best, performs the best.
Mm-hmm.
For the people that are only interested in performance, on the other hand, good for them. That's cool. But that's the Robinson program is one of my favorite programs. Probably my number one favorite program today. But he's all about performance. And me personally, I'm like, I want to use the Sentinel, but I need a different look. I need
Mhm.
I need that hell on wheels look. You know, I want the spike collar and the crop ears, and, you know. And for me personally, the dot tail is what.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess if that answers your question, I think this, you know, what I mean by putting community back in the dog community is everybody tries to have too much control when it comes to what other people are doing. And,
Right.
and, and I'll say this for the listener, you know, I've been to counseling before, and you get some issues worked out. One thing my counselor said to me at one point, she said, I got a homework project for you. So I want you to go home and write everything that you have 100% control over down on a piece of paper. So I go and I come back to have a list. She's, well, what happened? I was like, well, the only thing I can think of you don't have is having control over myself. She's like, no, you don't. I used to, when I was really young, you know, there was an incident in life, a bad car accident. I'm not going to get into that, but I had PTSD and used to have panic attacks and whatnot. So she was like, no, you don't. You don't have control over yourself. You have depression, you have panic attacks. You can't help the intrusive thoughts that get into your brain. So the bottom line is you control nothing. Zero, zilch, nothing. So if you don't control anything in your own reality, what makes you think you can control something in somebody else's reality?
Ain't gonna happen.
It's to breed show dogs because that's what they like to do, then why not? I mean, I still, to the guys that are in the AKC with the Amsteads, and the guys that are in the Bully Gang that are still producing functional XLs and stuff like that, that's all, bravo. I like it. I dig it. If that's what you're into and that's what you love, then I like being involved for you. You know, and I still I tell people, man, send me all your photos, all your videos of your XLs. You know, I want to see all of it. I want to save them. Can I use them for videos later on? And so many people are gracious enough, you know. Yeah, go use them for whatever you want. So I have libraries and libraries of show dogs, working dogs, and dogs that are both. But for the working dog community, there is nothing wrong with being able to sit and admire just a beautiful looking dog, even if it weren't worth the shit. You know, some people like their dogs the way they like their wives.
Show wise. Yeah.
Obedient, stay at the house, do what I say, look pretty.
Mhm.
Some people, that's just what it is. Me, I prefer my dog to bite you if I'm, you know. But the bottom line is there's nothing wrong with that. I think people put a specific picture in their head and think that everybody should adhere to it.
Mhm.
The way the world works. And the minute you let go of the wheel, you'll feel a lot more peace in your life. You'll feel more relaxed, you know? That
But
makes sense.
let me ask you this. Being that you're creating a band dog,
Well,
you work, huh? What'd you say?
I said not quite. I only did the first breeding, but we'll see.
Okay. But once you get where you want to get, right? Do you think you'll wind up creating a standard for it?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I have a vision in my head. Um, I see Reaper, the male I have, but small. That's the vision I see in my head. Now, with that said, I might use, like I said, when I get property, I might do a whole Mastiff line as well, separate from my Bulldog stuff.
Mhm.
Reaper might be used in that to create that. But for the London Bulldog, I would say probably yeah, at some point. But
Mhm.
to, I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make in the strictly show community is they're they're letting their thoughts and what they think a dog should look like from top to bottom affect the dog negatively. Lee Robinson once said, "Yeah, some of my dogs have a slightly roached fruit, but it's not affecting the dog's balance. It's not affecting how they run. It's not affecting the frame in its entirety." So when I say I want a level top line on my dog, I want it to look, you know, like a bulldog, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to complain about tiny little things if the dog is still able to function properly.
Right. Okay.
I don't want Easty Westy, obviously, and I don't want the cow legs in the back or any of that. You know, I want a regular sturdy frame the way it's supposed to be built. Yeah, but I'm not going to go into micro detail.
Right. Right.
So his muzzle is a quarter inch to a half inch too long. It's like, who gives a shit? As long as it's too short where he can't breathe, I don't really care.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I'm not opposed to. I've studied Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do for a lot of years,
Mm-hmm.
and under two different trainers. And then I read the book itself, The Tao of Jeet Kune Do. And what Bruce Lee talks about most is keeping what is useful, discarding what is useless, and adding what is uniquely your own. But I think that still gives us, a lot of breathing room. You know, if I have a litter from, say, Reaper back to his mother, and I have the means to keep that whole litter, I don't care if one of them comes out 90 pounds and another male comes out 65 pounds. I don't really care. That one that's 90 pounds is going to be chained closer to the house to protect the house, or maybe even sleep in the house, while the smaller, crazier one will be out on the chain in the yard. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So a standard, yeah, to an extent.
Right. So when at the end of your goal, what do you want? And it could change. You know, your vision changes. Well, right now in your head, in your vision, what is a Lawton dog? Like if you place it with somebody, I want them to know that they're going to get this.
A small, medium, or large version of, appearance-wise, one Gotti, RemyMartin, Razor's Edge, Throwing Knuckles, Cairo, that look. But the working ability, the performance of an American Setter. Only difference is I kept Reaper's ears because those Borbol ears are really cool. You know, they accentuate the head. But in the future, I would be cropping like half the dog's ears. You know, I want some of them. I love the full drop. You know, the Borbol, the Rottweiler, the Mastiff. Full looks pretty cool. But as far as the Lawton dogs, plural, with the exception of the Black Powder Terrier, I just want to stand behind that, support it, and use it for vermin control on my property. But when it comes to my Bulldog Mastiff stuff, yeah, that's going to be what you're pretty much looking at. Those old school, OG bully type looking dogs, but with the performance of a Sentinel, which I'll be honest, I don't think my dogs will quite reach the performance of the Sentinel because they're so game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. I don't think I need all of that. You know what I mean?
And Mr. Bronson, he's probably been breeding them dogs, what, 30 years or more?
Over 20 years. He started his program 20 years ago with the Sorrel's Blood, Pitbulls, cross to Japanese Tosa, Neo Mastiff, working Neo Mastiff, and working English Mastiff. So not the type that you see in the show ring or in the AKC book. But it's mostly, more than anything, game Pitbull Terrier. It's in there more than anything.
Yeah.
Which that explains why. Actually, I heard you talking about this with David Issue once at Midgard. If you look at the old, what was his name? Who bred band dogs back in the day? Oh man, no.
I'm not sure.
It's just not coming off the top of my head. But way back in the day, that was like the foundation, like what people said, okay, this is what a band dog in America looks like. Lee is more on okay, so that's in the middle. Lee is more over here towards the game athletic side of things, where David Issue, Midgard, is more toward the Mastiff side. But it's still the same type of blend, only it's just one's more extreme. So one extreme, one more to the other extreme.
Okay.
Love Lee's dogs, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But if I want a certain look, I'm willing to sacrifice some of the edge. The edge is very important. I need the dog to be able to work, and I will test on hogs and man work and all these things. But I don't want all that edge at the expense of having a good looking dog. You know, and I'm not saying his dogs don't look good. These dogs are beautiful. It's just my personal taste. I start off with just a slightly bullier dog. Now he has 2 dogs, actually 3, throughout the years that looked spot on for me. Jackson, who I guess passed a long time ago, was one of his older dogs. Ranger and Wrecker. And Wrecker passed as well, but Ranger's still with him. They look slightly bully. I was like, if you could throw that on a factory line and just make copies of them, I wouldn't even breed. I would just buy dogs from him over and over and over. Just fill my yard and just keep it at that, you know? But because those dogs had the exact look that I like.
Right.
But like I said, he's performance. And I don't blame him for that. That's what he loves.
Right.
I plan on, you know, getting the look I want. And then who knows, if I use the Sentinel blood and it just turns out perfect, or if I use it, get an offspring from it, and then want more Sentinel blood, it might be 25% Reaper in the original cross and 75% Sentinel. That might be all I need to start spitting them out on a factory line. And I don't mean factory line like I'm a puppy, though. I mean just having the ability to just replicate it over and over again if I wanted to. My only goal, I mean, obviously money is nice. I wouldn't be making some money. But my goal is to have the dogs that I want all the time at my disposal.
That's right.
Especially out, you know, when I go out to the country, it's okay. If you got through all the dogs and got through all my big ass rounds, I'll just give you some money. You deserve it at that point.
Right. So I want to ask this. I'm gonna close on this question. So the music is a big part of you, and I just want to know when we're gonna work on my album, Sexual Chocolate. I'm just kidding.
I think of Mark Henry. Remember on wrestling?
Yeah. Big Mark, yeah.
It's like everything's badass and over the top, and then like this slow R&B song comes on, and you see this big dude walk into the ring. But,
right.
What about music?
So music is a big part of man, your artistry and your creativity, you know, bro, it just is running all over the place on your content. I mean, you had to be a fool and think that this guy is just, he's a creative giant too.
Yeah.
Some of your man, I was looking this up. I was like, damn, I feel like I'm on a Discovery Channel documentary, man, the way the style, so and just see the progression as it go, you know, as it's going on. So what is your future in you got anything planned just for major production? Because you got it, it's there.
I appreciate that. Well, I plan on taking the prequel album down from the channel because if the prequel was the best from 2010 to 2020. All my greatest songs that I've written, recorded, produced, mixed, mastered, and they're great songs. But the problem is, it came from a place of before I got saved.
I got you.
I was it's very angry. At some points, it's depressing. At some point, downright demonic music. Regretfully, I was very disrespectful to the Christian community because I thought I had all the answers. Don't worry, Jesus dropped the charges.
Yeah, won't he do it?
But so yeah, I still produce music, and I've been writing a lot, and it's going to be a different side though. It's not going to be the shoot 'em up, demonic gangster rap that people are used to hearing from me. Not that it won't have an edge, because that's who I am, but it's going to be no offense to people that do this, but it's not going to be your la-di-da Christian music either. You know, I curse like a sailor because that's who I am. And the Bible never tells me not to say fuck. I've been trying to watch my mouth. It's just, you know,
I struggle with it too, bro.
it will always be, you know, something that you could work out to or work your dogs to, but there's also going to be certain songs that are about worship and things like that. But I'm taking it slowly. I'm letting the spirit guide the music, basically. One project I am working on for Lee, actually, it's kind of a commercial, infomercial kind of thing for his camp. A very big project. In fact, he already paid me for it, so I'm just waiting on his content now. Which he started sending me these really neat drone shots of the kennels and all the dogs and everything. It's really going to be something interesting. But for projects like this, I don't want to use one of my beats that I've already made like I do in all my other videos. This is a project I'm doing a video for his channel, for his audience, for his marketing. So started to make an original music piece from start that is going to be exclusively for that video. So when people want to get a commercial done from me, a kennel video done from me, whatever.
There we go.
Not only are they getting a professional video put together, but they're also getting original music for it, an original soundtrack for the piece that I'm making today. So in that aspect, you know, I'm definitely still making music regularly, but other than that, man, like I said earlier, you know, a lot of guys play video games. I like to play GTA or Call of Duty sometimes. You know, it's fun once in a while.
Right.
But probably, if I have that kind of time where I can just relax and do something fun, I'm gonna play around with some sounds, start banging on, you know, the drum kit, start, you know, putting together a beat of some sort.
Hey, license that music out too, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. Is, you know, I know they say you can make money off of video games right now, but I don't know how to do any of that, and I don't have so much time on Earth, so I don't want to learn something new. I would rather make music because even though it's fun to me, I could potentially make money off, you know, and which I have made a lot of money off of selling beats. And back when I had the studio open to the public, I used to rent out studio time for people. My only problem was I kind of started closing off to that when so many people were coming into the studio like, yeah, I'm ready to record, and they pay me the money and everything's good, and then the beat starts and get out.
Yeah, it's a bad industry. I still remember that, have to deal with those guys coming in the studio, and then they'll be talking about they don't have money, but they got Jordans on their feet, and then they get on the studio set, talk about how much money and dope they done sold.
Right. It's like the problem I had was with a lot of people I've worked with, you'll pay for the studio time. You'll pay to do your album cover on Photoshop and whatnot. You'll pay for the mixing, you'll pay for the recording, the mastering, all that stuff. But you do not want to pay for a beat.
No, they don't want to do it. Yeah.
Pay for the studio session. Can I just get the beat? No, that was. And what people don't understand is sometimes one beat. I have one or two that are in my files right now that are still not finished from a year ago. I don't just make a beat, render it down, it's over. My biggest inspiration for making instrumentals was Dr. Dre. Like, I want it to sound absolutely spot on perfect. I make a beat over a couple days and get it where I think I want it, and I won't look at it for a week. I'll come back a week later and go, oh, that snare just isn't quite right. Or that repeated hi-hat here, you know, it's just a little too much. I need something different there. I'll spend months or even sometimes, like I said, a couple on there that I've worked on for over a year and they're just not right.
Right.
And that's why people don't want to pay for beats. I have a lot of people that do want to pay for beats, no problem. But the few people that think they're just going to get beats for free, it's like, no, not for me. You don't my process.
Right.
So much time spent, and you're getting something masterful.
Yeah.
Even though I'm doing it for fun, it's very, very serious.
Like you hear Dre beat, and you wouldn't, unless you're a musician, you wouldn't know, as simple as his sound and how he can perfectly put it. None of his tracks are very heavy with nothing. It's just simplicity, clean. Even sometimes, and DJ Cook was one of my favorite producers. Just the dudes, they were
like the Dr. Dre 2001 album. That's an album that there's not many of these albums, but that's one album that I could almost listen to from track 1 all the way to the end. Almost. There's a couple tracks I skip over. You know, you got that interlude where you hear a bitch screaming because she's getting, their or whatever. It's like, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like watching porn with your buddy or something.
I don't put that in my playlist. I don't want to be driving down the road and all of a sudden hear that blaring out of my car.
Yeah, I feel weird. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's one of those albums that I can listen to almost start to finish. Another one that came close, especially production-wise, was DMX's Dark and Hell is Hot. The Eminem albums were all pretty much really good. Actually, my favorite album outside of 2001, the Dre album, was the D12 Devil's Night album. First brought D12 onto the scene. For some reason, the concepts, the delivery, the spice that each character brought to the table, on D12, and Dr. Dre being behind them, but it was just such a phenomenal album, and I still listen to it at least once a week. So when it comes to my inspiration, my influences, definitely more than anything, Aftermath. So, I mean, Dre, Exhibit, Eminem, D12, 50, G-Unit, Lloyd Banks heavily. But then when you break away from Aftermath, the oldie but goodies, obviously Tupac, it's a great thing in our house. I remember going through my mom's CDs and finding the greatest hits, Tupac greatest hits, that two-disc album. And at like 9, 10 years old, that was just like, what is this? It's so beautiful.
Yeah. But, what other kind of music besides rap?
Oh man, as I got a little older, like early 20s, I started. But before my early 20s, I was just hell bent on hardcore hip hop / gangster rap all the time. That's all I wanted.
Yeah.
It's like grew up and kind of stopped limiting myself.
Yeah.
Started listening to a little bit of everything. I don't like techno or that kind of stuff. I do like dubstep though. Absolutely love reggae. Reggae, I could listen to reggae sun up to sundown. And when I say reggae, I don't mean just Bob Marley. I mean the whole Marley family. I mean Sidla. I mean, all these guys. I could listen to reggae sun up to sundown. It's just very stand-up music. It's very positive. And a lot of times, even though I don't quite agree with the Rastafarian religion, I don't believe Ali Selassie was the return of Christ, I still like the fact that they're mostly right. They stand with the Bible and they make their music accordingly and try to live their life accordingly. So I could stand behind a lot of the lyrics in reggae music and the vibe of reggae music as well. Other than that, a lot of rock music, a lot of classic rock, and then grunge and what they started calling new metal, like NU metal, like Korn would definitely be my favorite thing. And I think it's because they have a lot of elements of hip hop in a lot of music. And it's very violent. I love Linkin Park. I used to listen to a lot of stuff. There's just a little too much blasphemy and Slipknot for me. And,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus comes first, so I'll sacrifice that. I'll sacrifice certain music, but
Yeah. Certain music gives certain energy. I can't take it, but I'm a weirdo. My family's from the Delta, so like we like Al. I don't know if you ever heard of Al Green and
absolutely love it.
chitlin circuit music.
Yeah,
Like coming up in the church, our music sound like rock and roll. Well, they say a lot of rock and roll came from that area, but you might see this old. You can look it up on YouTube. This old black lady named Sister Rosetta Tharpe, way back in the early 1900s, rocking out on this guitar. I'm talking about. You want to hear some cool music? Listen to some old black quartet stuff from the like 40s and 50s. Boys.
love it.
Yeah.
In fact, that quite recently, I've been listening to a lot of old R&B and definitely not country, but like country blues kind of music.
Yeah.
It kind of stretches across the board as far as, as far as definitely being like Elvis, for example. My mom made this joke and it kind of rang true. It was like Elvis was the first Eminem because they were trying to lock him up because his music was black.
Yeah.
And but when I
gyrated around and the way he danced and all that stuff,
yeah,
that's right up the road. Yeah.
Yeah, rhythm soul. So when it was funny that after I'll say this up front, I didn't really get into it until after I saw the Elvis movie. So I saw this movie, it made me like the music. I'm like, oh, I understand now, And then that took me down that whole rabbit hole, which is actually mostly black country music from the church.
Yeah.
And it just unfolded this whole other world of music.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what was really funny about that is a lot of these old records, you hear a lot of samples that hip hop used that you didn't know where it came from before. You know what I mean? Like I'm digging through, man, I had stacks of vinyl records, man, that I would go through.
Right.
That's where they got that sample from.
I'm a vinyl collector too. Yeah.
Yeah, not anymore. It drove me too crazy.
Yeah. I just try to keep classics.
Like technology is such a, but in some ways it's such a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is, the camera, a camcorder, it's my entire music collection, a photo gallery, you know what I mean?
Right.
So there's no reason I can't separate music by the vibe, basically. If I'm getting ready to work out or go work my dogs, I want violent, intense, crazy, off-the-wall hip-hop or metal. If I'm just chilling, cleaning up my room, I might listen to SZA or Bob Marley or Elvis or Al Green or The Temptations or, you know what I mean? Just a different vibe, calm, kind of upbeat, you kind of bounce around to it, but it's not aggressive.
Yeah. Because the music affects your mood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
I'm like driving around when I have to go into the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I'll purposely play aggressive music because when I'm outside of my home, this world is crazy, man. I have to be on my defensive P's and Q's at all times.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I won't move out of the state of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But, because in this state, we flex our Second Amendment right, very much so.
Yeah.
I don't go without it.
Yeah.
But it looks like my phone's about to die.
Okay. Hey, great interview. Everybody, tell them how to get in touch with you, Erik.
You go to Battle Bred K9s. That's K9.com. K9s.com. BattleBredK9s.com. Battle Bred Concepts spelled with a K. That's on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook.
All right, that'll work. My brother from another mother. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Appreciate
it. All right.
And that wraps up another episode of NWA Connie Corsos. Thank you for being a part of our Connie Corso community. Remember, you can stay connected with us beyond the podcast. Find us on all major media platforms by searching for NWA Connie Corsos. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, just hit that follow button to join the conversation and get the latest updates. If you have a burning question or want to apply to be a guest on our show, we'd love to hear from you. Simply shoot us an email at nwaconniecorsos@gmail.com. And if you're a business interested in becoming a sponsor, reach out to us at the same email address. For more resources, exclusive content, and links to all our social media profiles, visit our website at nwaconniecorsos.com. It's your go-to destination for everything dogs. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we can't wait to bring you more exciting episodes where we explore the fascinating world of dogs.